All right, Matt Gannon. Jers, we are back. It is Colonial Week. The PGA Championship, boots on the ground, is behind us. Congratulations. Xander Schauffele, the X-Man, he does it. You were on it. How's it feel?
Yeah, what more can we expect? We go do boots, we deliver. Final group, Collin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele. Those were our official picks from the top of the board. We predicted Scottie would not play well. We did not predict he would get arrested. Actually, we might have predicted that. And then, it all came to fruition. Had a few other guys in the mix. We're right about a lot of guys. We're wrong about a lot of guys. But overall, I assume everyone was happy with boots on the ground because I know we are. Got ourselves a winner, and we move on to Colonial. Was a great week.
Yeah, some people are saying that our noticing of Scottie being agitated may have led to him being a little agitated, could have led to the arrest. I don't know. That's what people might be saying. But before we get started, as always, like and subscribe. Thanks, everybody, for the support last week. I think it was an awesome week. Regardless, before the tournament even started, no matter how it was going to go, I think it was a fun week for us, and I think people enjoyed the content. So really appreciate everybody who tuned in. So just like and subscribe. It's the algorithm works the way the algorithm works. The more likes, the more subscribes gets out there in front of more people. And I think so far, most people who see the pod seem to enjoy it. So it'd be great if we could just get it out there in front of more, as we always say, ball knowers. We're trying to just be a pod for people who are ball knowers. And so where was I going to go next? I don't remember what I was going to say. That wraps up. Yeah, let us go to
that wraps up the PGA recap.
Yeah, that wraps up the intro to like and subscribe. Oh, this is what I was going to say. The boots for Pinehurst. We're locked in. We've got our accommodations. We'll be staying off the 6. The Pinehurst number 6 apparently is where we'll be. So we'll also have boots at Pinehurst. So be on the lookout for that. That's
a few weeks away. It's around the corner.
I was going to tease the folks with some excitement about that. That's what I was going to say. So there we go. But now let's get to it. The PGA, Xander Schauffele. Why don't you just paint the scene from literally maybe just do the whole recap from the first time that we set eyes on Mr. Xander Schauffele, generational practice round player on, was Tuesday? I think Tuesday was the first time we saw him. Yeah. And we both said this is the best player on the course right now. After we saw Scottie, I think we determined that we were going to make Xander the live favorite based on what we were seeing because we hadn't really seen Rory. It's also, I think Rory's now gone like 40 majors without winning one in a row. So felt like it was Xander's week, but you had to overcome the fact that it's Xander Schauffele to still pull the trigger at 14-1. So paint the scene for us of how it felt from when you first saw him through Tuesday, through the ebbs and flows, all the way until that final putt dropped.
Yeah, I mean, without boots on ground, I wouldn't have landed on Xander because we know it's always green stats. We know it's always amazing stats, but it's not Xander looking amazing that got me on Xander. It was everyone else looking the way they did. That was like, all right, no one else is really wowing me. I'm going to go to the guy that I'm seeing with my eyes, that is absolutely flushing it, that looks confident, and that's playing great golf. So shout out boots on ground that got me on Xander. Obviously, 9 under in round 1. I'm feeling good, but it's Xander Schauffele. Is Xander Schauffele really going to go wire to wire and win this damn thing? I knew he'd obviously be around on the weekend, but his tournament didn't get going until Saturday when guys caught up to him. And he had his moments. He had his bad swings, but it's never going to be easy to win a major championship. You're going to have to deal with some tough moments during the golf. And I'm getting a lot of slack for my tweet on Saturday about Xander Schauffele's quotes on Saturday. They asked him about his result on Sunday, how it's going to matter. He was like, yeah, it's just another result. I obviously want to win, but it's just a result. And yes, I understand. That's a great mentality to have. Let's like downplay everything. When it happens, it happens. But if it was any other golfer, I feel like that's fine. But it's Xander Schauffele, a guy who is a prolific loser, a guy who has never won shit. I feel like he should have said, like, I need to have dog. I need to go get this. I really want to win this. With that being said, I just want to get out there and say I wanted Xander to win more than anyone. I was not shitting on him. I am happy that this patience and this mindset finally worked out. But for him being such a loser for his entire career, I just thought he'd have a different mindset than what he said. So hand up, maybe shouldn't have tweeted it, but is what it is. Well, he got it down the clutch.
We're in the content game. Obviously, we gave takes. I think we probably gave takes on like 100 players last week. You can't be right on all the takes, but it is funny that only in the content streets, only in the betting streets, can you both win a bet on Xander and also have people shitting on you for what you said about Xander the day before. So when you're out there firing the takes, you're out there in the content game. That's what it's all about. I tweeted, we saw with our own eyes. We said Scottie Scheffler is not dialed. Now, what did we also say? We said Ted Scott's an important part of Scottie's game. He's going to be missing for a day. We also said it's tough to win the PGA or the next major after you win the Masters. We said all these things. We did not know that Scottie was going to get arrested. Obviously, that was a wrinkle thrown in that obviously had an impact on his performance. But I had people going, "Oh, is this engagement farming? Like, are you just doing this for clicks?" It's like, what benefit to me does it have to say that Scottie's not going to play good in a tournament? Like, he's literally won almost every. Like, it would be so much easier to go, yeah, Scottie looks good. Think he's going to play good this week. But no, we came on here.
We said that during the Players. We said Scottie looks great. We think he's going to win.
Yeah, and I think I specifically said he's going to finish between T4 and T10. I believe he finished T8. So I'm Vic Lapping my Scottie takes, and I'm also giving a quick shout out to the haters. Why would I make up that Scottie didn't look good? That doesn't do me any good because it's more likely than not he's going to win the tournament. He didn't. I think we nailed Scottie. I think we have good eyes for Scottie now. We've now seen, I've seen him so many different times. I said before, Royal Liverpool, and there was when he looked off. Now, obviously, do we know he's going to get arrested? No, but was also his worst round, the one where he didn't have his caddy, and he made those mistakes onto different things that he probably doesn't do if Ted is there. So I think we nailed our Scottie takes too. But yeah, Xander, generational practice round players, I've set my rule that it's 18 to 1 or above. And so that's, I'm good on Xander either way. But I was definitely rooting for him, for everybody outside of Collin. Obviously, I had Collin tied for lead going to the final round. I felt good about that. Collin had played just so steady throughout the week, and Collin has dog. There's no question about that. He didn't have it yet. He couldn't make a putt to save his life yesterday, but he gets the ball in the hole. Like his irons aren't going, he gets his around the greens going. Like he finds a way to make a score. But at what point, was there any point before the final putt went in where you were like, Xander's got it? Or like, what was your feeling throughout the day? Because having Collin, because it was kind of nice, honestly, like Collin was dead by the turn. It was clear he wasn't going to make any putts. So I kind of just stopped caring. And I was like, I'm going to root for Xander now. Mm-hmm. I thought he was dead after 10. I was like, how's he going to overcome this? But then 11, 12 starts to look like it's kind of his to lose again. What was your sense as a man with money on the line?
So the putt on number 6, he got up and down, he tried to putt it through the fringe, left it like 16 feet short. Draining that putt, I was very confident. And then once he pulled the 3-wood out of his bag on hole 10, I was like, Xander, layup. Because if you guys remember our take from earlier in the week, we said every single hole is extremely easy to get up and down from around the green, except for hole number 10. That's like it's super elevated green. You're kind of dead on all spots except for short left. And Xander left himself in a horrible spot. So once he pulled the 3-wood, I know he had very minimal places to miss. It was going to be a par at best. Ended up making a 6. I was very frustrated after that. But maybe he needed that. Maybe that was the let's go now. Because that was right at the time where Victor was going. Bryson was obviously right there. And he looked at a leaderboard. He was like, oh, I'm one back now. Or I'm T1, whatever it was. Makes birdie on 11 and 12, which are 2 long irons, 2 not easy holes. And I think that was huge that he made bogey on 6. I didn't obviously want him to make bogey, and I didn't want him to go for that green in 2. But that could have been the, oh, fuck, let's go moment that he needed. So that was Xander has never shown that type of dog ever one time in his like major career. And for him to do it on this stage, obviously the course setup helped, but that's a different podcast. And very impressive. Very, very impressive.
I think when we texted about this yesterday, and I mean, it was clear at the course, but maybe I didn't think about this, at least from a Xander perspective, is that we talked about this after the Players, that the problem for Xander in the mix often has been that he can't hit the fairway. And that when he just is able to take clean iron shots, even the times where he hasn't won, he's choked or whatever, he doesn't choke often. He just doesn't quite move forward enough, I feel like, in the final round. And in my opinion, the reason for that has been if he can't get clean iron shots to the green, that's where things are going to go. Yeah. But yesterday, what carried him across the line was, okay, he makes that bogey on 10, and he didn't hit a lot of the fairways on the front 9. He was kind of skanking it around a little bit off the tee, but there's no penalty off the tee, which is what we talked about all week. And I think it turned out it was the highest fairway percentage this year outside of Pebble and Augusta, which we saw like the second we stepped on the course. We were like, it wasn't like the fairways were wide. It was just, there was no penalty for missing, and guys had no fear. So it was super easy for them to just get comfortable, hit drives. Xander, when he has clean looks to the green with his irons, even under pressure, he's always been able to hit good shots. And that shot on 11, going after that pin, after that bogey, like if he misses left and short sides himself there, he's probably toast. 12, obviously hit a good iron shot. 13, not his best iron shot.
Yeah.
14, really good iron shot, didn't get the putt. But 14 was really the only hole where you could make a bogey pretty much the rest of the round, as long as you didn't like kind of fuck up. Gets himself in position there. And then obviously a couple again, the driver still like it. The thing that almost cost him was not being able to find the short grass on 17 and 18. But I think this course just set up so nicely that there was enough just iron shots where nothing else mattered besides can you hit a good iron shot.
100%.
And for that reason, the area that has cost him before wasn't able to cost him, even though that almost was the area that cost him off the tee.
And we said that going into the week. We were like, you're going to have to score. There's not much penalty for missing unless you really miss a shot. There's not much penalty. That's why we went to Xander. Like we factored in, you're going to have to make a ton of birdie putts. We knew this was going to be low scoring. We didn't say 20 under. We did not. I will hand out. We did not.
And I'll say to there, we had a belief that there was enough areas on the greens that they could try to like put tough pins.
But they didn't.
To keep it at like 14 or 15. They didn't even attempt to defend the course with the pins, which I was surprised by.
No. Yeah, but either way, we knew that it was going to be the case where you're going to have iron shots into the greens. From there, make those birdie putts, and that's Xander Schauffele. So, yeah, the only real moment I was scared was when Victor hit that shot on 14. Another great shot. If he would have made that, that would have been giga momentum. That would have been 3-4 straight for Victor, and that would have been tough.
Yeah, and we'll get to those next guys in a second. But I was just going to
2 straight, I think. 3 straight.
What I was going to say was like the front 9 yesterday, watching Collin and Xander play together was a perfect example of why before the week we said that putting was going to be more important than maybe we originally thought. Just because if you eliminated what happened once they got to the greens, you would have no idea who was playing better between Xander and Collin in that first on the front 9 of the final round. Like they effectively
because it didn't matter.
Yeah. They effectively had 10 to 20 foot putts on every single hole. Collin missed every single one of them. Xander hit 50% of his. He made that big clutch putt on 6. Yeah, and 7. And like he just made the putts that you needed to. He gained 4.8 putting on the week. And I think when we did our pod on Monday, we said it's going to be like a 3 putting and then shifted it more into the 4 to 5 range based on just it was tough to differentiate yourself with the ball strike. Like, yes, all the guys at the top of the leaderboard had solid ball striking.
Scottie is where he was.
Yeah, and he loses. He's basically level putting on the week for Scottie. If he gains 1 stroke, he's right there. Or if he gains 1 per round, so 4, he's more in the mix. But yeah,
there was no path for guys to differentiate themselves like Scottie to gain 15 ball striking. That's not possible on a golf course like this.
No, I mean
that's what we nailed.
Xander led the field in ball striking, but he only gained 12-ish, which is like a solid number. But 12-ish, yeah, that's a normal PGA Tour event, and that's what the course was. This was a normal PGA Tour event. And that plays into the hands of a guy who's never won on this stage. There's a comfort level to playing on a course where it's the risk is lower. So I will take absolutely nothing away from Xander. I was rooting for him once Collin was out of the mix. I mean, I was rooting for him all week because I wanted us to have as much success with the boots as possible. So again, good call. Way to stick to your guns with Xander despite everything you've done up to this point and all the hurt. You took one last swing. You told me this was my last swing, and it delivers. So Xander gets the job done. And what does Xander do next? What's the rest of the year look like for Xander, in your opinion?
I think there could be more wins. We see it all the time. We saw Phil Mickelson not win a major for his entire career. Obviously, he was a better player than Xander is. And then floodgates are open. We see it in sports. Floodgates are open. I posted that video about Xander, and Eddie Pepperell commented on it. He was like, I had this same thought as Xander, and then when I won my first time, I switched my mentality. Something switched in my brain where I was like, I can win. I know I can win. And then he won a bunch more times. Xander, I think that could happen with we know he's one of the top 5 best golfers every single year, no matter how his game is. He could do it in every category, talent-wise. It's up here. Hopefully that major win can unlock it. Like, yeah, I could do this more than once a year. So I think the floodgates are open, truthfully.
Yeah, and I think for me, it remains, I think this definitely proved it out even more. Like if it's a course with limited penalty for missing and you can not make bogey by missing, you just make your par and go play the next hole. I like that for Xander because I think when he has clean looks with his irons and with his putting, he's as good as anybody. He's struggled a little bit when it's those tight driving tests. You got to hit fairways. But that wasn't the case this week, and we'll see how that pans out at the rest of the big tournaments this year. But great to see him get over the line. He now adds the PGA Championship to his Olympic gold medal, which I assume he will be defending in Paris, where you do need to hit the fairways this summer at Le Golf National. Shout out to Rio. He Satsune and fuck Jordan Smith. Every time now I think of
for Rio.
Did he?
Yeah.
T18. Rio Auto T20. Like I want to know the math on Rio T20 bets across both the DP and the PGA Tour since he's turned pro. That has to be one of the most profitable bets in golf is Rio Top 20. But the next couple guys on the board were guys so we didn't see much Bryson. We talked about that on the pod. We saw Victor briefly. On Wednesday, Victor still looked lost to our eyes. Yeah. Impressive performances by both of them. Bryson, we'll start there. If I would have thought it was going to be 20 under instead of the 14 or 15, I probably would have been a little higher on Bryson than I think we were, because it definitely, especially the last two rounds, just turned into the Bryson that we've seen over the last year, especially on Live, where he's just bombing it so far down the middle. And then he's hitting 9-iron when everyone else is hitting 7-iron or 6-iron. And at some point, when enough rounds go by with that advantage, he's going to keep just bumping himself up the leaderboard. He also... the dog, the passion. Bryson was bringing the dog and the passion out there. The crowd is behind him. People love Bryson now. Great for the Crushers. As a Crushers supporter, how did it feel to see Bryson out there playing like that in the Crushers gear?
Yeah, Crushers faithful was definitely on their edge of their seats yesterday. But I just think it goes back to if there were more holes that you didn't have to hit to a certain spot, like number 6, number 13, Bryson wins that golf tournament. Like those few holes are just like the margins and the lines are so small. Obviously, he could have made a few putts, but I think over 72 holes, if there wasn't as many forced layups, Bryson's hitting more drivers. I wonder what he did on 5 every single day, because that's not necessarily a driver hole. But yesterday he was like, fuck it, I'm just going to rip this thing and hit a perfect one. Ended up making birdie, he hit that like 340 down that slope where no one hit it.
Yeah. I think on Saturday he was right rough, but either way, like that's an example of a hole where and we talked about that. It was one of the few holes where you could bomb. But yeah, to your point, 7 or 6 and 12 effectively being par 3s definitely doesn't play to Bryson's advantage by any stretch of the imagination. But he leads the field in driving distance. I think across the rest of the board, it was kind of distance didn't play a huge factor into the puzzle. But Bryson was one of those people who used the distance to advantage, but it's because his distance is at a different tier than like everyone else in the field. And even on 17 was an example of that. Like Xander came up 2 yards short of the carry versus what Bryson does. If it had gone to a playoff, Bryson is the winner, do you think, or what happens there?
Xander kept talking about how he didn't want to play Bryson on 18. I don't think Xander knew that it was a 3-hole playoff. And truthfully, I don't think he knew that, because not a lot of people do know that. And
thank God we didn't go to that, because 13 being a decisive hole in the playoff, it would have been an asterisk
underneath it.
No, but it would have been an asterisk on the tournament for sure.
Yeah, when the PGA Championship tweeted, like, if we go to a playoff, it'd be 13, 17, 18, whatever. And I under responded, can they just drop their balls like at the bottom of the fairway?
I did see that.
Stupid hole.
I think what we saw with Bryson too was Bryson gained almost 4 strokes around the greens, but it was because the around the greens was so simple. Like, I still don't trust Bryson in a difficult around the green conditions situation with firm greens and tough up and downs, but that was not at all what this was. And we just saw him getting up and down pretty much every time. He had those 2. It was a chip right on Saturday on 18, and then he putted it in on 6 on Sunday. So there's 2 strokes right there that could be, if those are more difficult around the greens. So those are 2 3-shot in total swings right there around the greens. And so just thinking about Bryson going forward, obviously we know the distance advantage and off the tee advantage that he has right now, with also how accurately he's driving it. But be on the lookout for him at places where the around the green conditions aren't quite so tough, which would concern me a little bit about the next 2 majors. I don't think these are going to be. I think the best chances for Bryson this year are now behind us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm ready to fire off tweets as soon as I step on Pinehurst. Like, first thoughts from Pinehurst, Bryson has no chance here because he's going to be very popular. And like, I didn't think he'd play well here, which I'll admit, but I really think the next two are really not his forte. But he did mention in his interviews how he played so well around the greens and on the greens, and he didn't have his best stuff off the tee and with his iron shot. So just a very impressive performance. He's becoming like a true top 5 player in the world in these big moments. And I love it. I've been a Bryson guy since he's came onto the tour. I've always loved Bryson. Took the Bryson boat over Brooks. Glad to see him really just catching everyone's heart because people are turning the tides on Bryson.
Yeah, I saw a tweet saying that like Bryson taking all this money and going to live and then becoming a big fan of PGA Tour people needs to be like studied as like a marketing thing because it's insane.
Right.
Like he did all the things that most people have been shitting on golfers for, and now he's actually more popular with like the average golf fan than he ever has before. So shout out to Bryson. That was fun. It's always fun when Bryce is in the mix. He definitely, of the guys, Xander, Bryson, Vic, or Collin, of those 4 guys who kind of were one of them was going to win going into the final round. I think everybody would agree with that. He brought the most fire and energy to the course of those guys. The next guy is probably Vic. He doesn't fist pump or kind of get too fired up out there, but he carries a confidence, I would say, that we hadn't seen in a while. But we'd also seen the ball striking stats were starting to look better. It had never really been the ball striking was that big of a problem. I don't like it wasn't up to what he was at the end of the year, but it wasn't terrible.
The results just weren't there.
Yeah. It was short game and putting. And ultimately it's the putter that keeps him from winning this tournament. I think that's the area where now going forward, when you look at kind of what he's done when he got on that hot streak last year, it was just the putter got in fuego for that like period of time. He only gains.
He lost 2 around the green, I think.
He for the tournament, he was basically level around the greens, gained a tiny bit, and then gained 2.4 with the putter. But his ball striking was great. The approach play was insane yesterday. Like if you hadn't watched golf since last year and you just turned it on, you'd be like, oh, this is Hovland. Like this is what he does. It looked all the same.
So you saying he was even around the greens?
He actually gained a little bit, but not
just the test of
he gained
Valhalla.
more. He gained more than Xander did around the greens.
Xander was better on the greens, truthfully. We saw him when he needed to be.
It was funny on 17 because we saw him on 17 in the practice rounds, like doing it. He was chip. He practiced that chip that he ended up hitting on 17 chip. over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So shout out to the preparation, but he clearly wasn't comfortable with his motion on what he was doing.
Yeah, he was bad at quail too around the greens too. Yeah. But for Victor to be even around the green just shows what the golf course that was presented. It's so easy around the green if Victor is even, but. We saw Victor. We didn't see good things from him. But at the end of the day, it was such a perfect golf course for Victor Hovland. He is an absolute flusher with the long irons. Hindsight probably should have bet that 50-40 to 1 because it was a drifting number at a golf course that was so perfect for him. But we didn't like what we saw and the form wasn't there. So never going to argue with what our eyes saw. Like he was one of the guys we were wrong about. So, but I'm happy to see Victor back in the mix. Shout out Joe Mayo. Linked up with him on Monday. If we would have known that on like Monday, we'd be like, all right, we got to run Vic out.
I think, yeah. And I mean, we didn't see much of him. We only saw a couple holes and he didn't look great. But as we said, he was out there Wednesday afternoon, kind of getting one last practice session in. Time. And what did he shoot in the first round? 3 under. He progressively just got better as the week got on. He clearly was gaining confidence like every day that went by. And then that final round was probably from a strokes gain perspective, I think it was close to. Well, actually, the second round was his best round of the week, but he just never could make any putts. He could not make any putts, and him and Collin were in the boat of like they end up 3 shots behind Xander, but it's because both of them just couldn't get it going with the putter.
Victor missed 7 inside 15 feet on Saturday. I think it was 6 or 7. Should he have won? Maybe, because like that's just he was flushing his irons clearly, and that's peak Victor. Glad to see him finally just rounding into form. I think it's coming soon. I'm expecting him to be very popular over these next few events / majors. I remember in our pre-season show we did our one and dones. My U.S. Open pick was Victor Hovland because everyone's PGA pick was Victor Hovland, so I was a little bit flop lag. I don't know. I mean, we'll get there when we get there. I don't know if that still stands up because of the around the green is going to be much harder there than it was here, but we will see. But good things from Victor for sure.
Yeah, and I thought he was the man to beat when him and Xander were tied, just because like of how much confidence he was walking around with. But he didn't birdie any of those last 5 holes. I think 13 was the final birdie that he made. That doesn't quite get the job done. He misses, or he ends up 3-putting 18, but obviously he was just pissed at that point, and after he missed the one to tie. Excuse me. But yeah, it was great to see Victor back doing his thing, and obviously he'll be a gigantic threat to defend at Memorial here in a couple of weeks. Collin, we talked about him. I've got nothing wrong with Collin. I was happy with his performance. He, like I said, he just gets the ball in the hole. The way he's improved, his around the green play has gone from like a negative around the green player to a legit top 10 around the green player. He got everything up and down. Couldn't quite get the putter was hot the first 2 rounds, went cold on him over the weekend, but he's not playing his best. Like he's not playing his. When he's at his best, it's obviously his iron play that's cooking. It's not cooking. Like he was clearly struggling with that out there. And then you add in the fact that he's 20 yards behind a lot of the other guys and he's not hitting his irons as well. For him to be right there again, back-to-back majors in the final group, like we just have to give Collin a look in the 30s every major. The guy has dog. The guy's a smart player. Yeah. He just mixes. And that's, at the end of the day, a huge piece of majors.
Yeah, they asked him his overwhelming thoughts on the course when he first got there during the week, and he said, "Yeah, this is definitely a little long. I'm going to be hitting a ton of long irons." But then he was like, "Well, I know I can put these 6 irons the same spot as where these guys put 8 or 9 irons." So just like that mentality is something that a lot of people don't have. And to make a point on the short game, which he's really came around with. I remember when Collin Morikawa first came out on the PGA Tour, they did like a little aside with his Cal Golf teammates, and they said, the one thing that separates Collin Morikawa from everyone else is he's a great iron player, obviously, but I've never seen this guy miss a green and not get it up and down. He's a generational short game, which every single one of these pro golfers is an elite short game player, but the PGA Tour level is a different test. So it's good to see that confidence coming around for Collin, because we know when he's at his best, he can get it up and down, and it's been showing the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I think Collin now he's a threat for multiple more majors in the rest of his career, especially on these, and just dog, like the guy just shows up, plays his game, gets the job done.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So shout out to Collin. Back to back. I mean, you play the final group back to back majors to start the year. That's positive, and I think Pinehurst should set up quite well for him. Tommy Dietz, our boy. We'll be talking about him momentarily here at Colonial. Beautiful. What a wonderful thing to see. Tommy Dietz out there, top 5 at a major, continues to play well. Justin Rose, a guy that we never talked about Rose. We didn't write him up at all because we didn't see enough. We were walking back from watching somebody. We're walking up the 5th hole. I see Rose in the fairway, and I turn to you and I go, this could be a Rose course. You were not down for Rose whatsoever.
I was like, no way.
But there's something about the PGA that Rose fucks at the PGAs now. So be on the lookout for that next year.
Yeah, be on the lookout for Rose. Very consistent.
Lowry was someone who I saw on Monday, and I said that he was the best looking player on the course on Monday. But then it was in the notes.
It was in the notes.
It was in the notes, and that was because of his approach play. But then he lost strokes on approach and had the best putting week of his life, which was not what I saw with my eyes or would have expected if Lowry was going to get in the mix. But I mean, he had made no putts the whole year, and he gained 8, 9, 10. That was something.
That was surely something. That round on Saturday was just crazy. He made back-to-back 40-footers on 13 and 14 maybe, and then missed that 8, 9-footer to break the record on Friday, or on 18.
Which we did Friday. Thank God he didn't make that. We didn't need a 61.
No,
we didn't need to, every time somebody played good in a major, go, well, it wasn't 61. Thank God he missed.
Yeah, and then Sunday came around, he made nothing. So it caught up to him.
We talked about Scottie. Like we said, he wasn't dialed, but he's still Scottie. The worst he can possibly shoot or finish right now is inside of the top 10. The putter wasn't heated up. He missed Ted Scott on Saturday. I genuinely think he did. And you tweeted about it. It was initially what came to my head. Number 2, he's in that fairway bunker on the right. He short sides himself left, gets mega boned, and that's kind of the downfall. He doesn't make that mistake, in my opinion, with Ted Scott.
If Ted Scott's there, he's in the bunker that Xander was in, or in that collection area, right? 10 out of 10 times if he's not on the green.
How do you think his the chaplain felt? Because that dude had he couldn't have thought of a worse scenario of how things could possibly get.
Heart absolutely racing. What do you do? You're playing with the guy who's been better than fucking Tiger Woods the last like calendar year, and you're out there for one day, and his mind's circling for sure. Like, and you're not saying anything to him. You're just literally carrying the bag. But like, I don't know what your mind is in. I wonder what our friend Ryan was thinking, because we met this guy on Tuesday, and he got to be the walking scorer for Scottie Scheffler's group. Like, shout out to him. What do you think in that moment? Like, you have to be so quiet. Like, oh, I got to put in another bogey for Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah,
What's going
the
on?
computer system's like, are you sure this score is right? Like double bogey on 4 when he roped it left down into the hazard. But quickly, we won't spend a lot of time on it. We're not our pod we're ball knower pod. We want to be talking about the golf. Let's talk Scottie arrest quickly, because so I woke up, I had my alarm set for kind of early-ish on Friday because I was going to wake up and Collin was playing. He got off to a good start, and I was going to watch that. I wake up to a text from one of my friends who I'd consider, like, he watches the majors. He'll watch like the Sunday big tournaments. Like, he's a golf fan, but he's not us by any stretch of the imagination. That's the only text I see on my phone at like 7:15 in the morning. And it's like, Scottie was arrested in all caps. And I'm like, what does this even, what does this even mean? So I like open up and there was nothing in our group chat. Like, if there was something like crazy golf happening, somebody else would be on it. No one was on it. I open up Twitter, and obviously the first thing you see is like the video of in the darkness of him like walking around. And I'm like, and then I saw like fatal crash. I'm like, what is going on here? I did nothing, but for 30 minutes I laid sideways on my pillow and scrolled Twitter because I thought I was still asleep, because I was like, what is happening? This makes no sense. It's truly the most unbelievable thing that has ever happened in sports for me, as somebody who's into, like, I can't think of anything that blew my mind more than that, honestly.
A true where were you on the morning of Friday, May 17th? Like, it captivated like everyone who's not golf fans. I got text too. I didn't plan on waking up anytime early because I was drained from the week we just had, and I'm a big wake up and pee and then go back to sleep guy. So I woke up, brought my phone to the bathroom with me, I'm peeing. I'm like, what? Like, I thought I as well was like sleeping, or this was made up. And then from there, I was up for the rest of the time, just scrolling Twitter for
it was
hours.
one of the best days of Twitter of all time. Like, the memes,
so
unbelievable, good. Off the charts.
Yeah, so a true where were you moment, and I can't believe it happened still. Like, Xander Schauffele winning a major and Scottie Scheffler getting arrested in the same week are two of the most like absurd things that could possibly happen ever.
There was just multiple times throughout the day, like, I had the coverage on. I wasn't, like, in the afternoon, I wasn't watching too closely. I was like working on stuff, but I would go over and then they'd be showing the Scottie stuff. And each time I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how did this happen? Like, it was so unbelievable. Of all the players in the tournament that could possibly get arrested, it's Scottie. Based on what we saw, we would have had a different list of players that we expected to get arrested. We would not have had Scottie. Like, he's literally considered one of the nicest guys that like exists in the world. I've never heard anyone ever say a single bad thing about him. I've never seen with my own eyes him do anything but like be the nicest guy in the world. Unbelievable situation. But I will say, and you tweeted a little bit about this, but I agree with you. The setup from how you got to the course was fucked. Like, when I woke up, and yes, was it insane that it happened? And still, like I said, the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. Yes. But was I surprised that something had happened because of the traffic? No, I wasn't, because like so that was a different entrance than the one that we went to from the Uber, but like we drove past it to like get where we were going. The Uber would drop us off. We would go through this like forest basically to get to the main road. But even for us to get to the course, we had to cross a highway where the cars were going full speed, and there was cops kind of trying to stop the traffic. But I remember thinking vividly, because we were standing on the shoulder, like not a lot of space. I remember thinking, this is kind of sketchy. This is kind of scary. The cones, even, it wasn't like, here's the path for you to walk. It was kind of like walk wherever. So how, we could be standing there. We're there for 3 days going, this seems kind of weird. And they've had years to prepare for the PGA Championship. Like, horrific incident. Like, obviously so sad what happened for that person's family. Insane for Scottie, but it wasn't surprising to me that something happened based on what we saw in how the setup to get to the course was.
Yeah, and on I stayed a day after you did. I was there on Thursday, and I left at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday because I had a 7 p.m. flight back to Florida, and because I knew it was going to be like a little crazy. I was like, let me just get there early. It took me 2.5 hours to find a ride, and that was before and that like, Scottie and the PM groups had just teed off. The golf wasn't even anywhere near over, and I said to this driver once I finally found a ride, I was like, they better figure something out for like the weekend because you guys are boasting selling 200,000 tickets and you have one drop off location, one pickup location for the entire course. And he was like, yeah, this is a mess. As sad as it sounds, I am like, I didn't know, but if you told me something tragic happened, I would be like, wow, I could totally see how that would have happened because we were there for the whole. It was
that's what I
obscure.
like. I literally, that's what I said to people who like, I was texting, who aren't like golf people. I was like, I'm not surprised that something bad happened because it was such a dumb
So bad.
setup, like just horrible. And that's 2 years in a row because I was in Rochester last year, not a place where there was like lots of Ubers or access and stuff. And like even on Thursday morning when I was going to go to the airport, like we were in the same hotel room,
Oh yeah.
this, like I almost couldn't. It's 6 a.m. There was almost no Ubers to go to the airport, and that was so it only got worse from there. So it's kind of like I don't understand why we're playing massive events without the infrastructure to like support it. And then
the thing is, it's Louisville. Like it should. It's not
yeah,
like it's
I think
a random city.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the Kentucky Derby was 10 miles or ish from there. So yeah, very surprising, very disappointing, obviously very tragic, and also absolutely fucking insane. What happened? Like it sounds like they're going to drop the charges. Like I would assume that's what it's going to happen. So Scottie's playing this week. Obviously, we'll see what happens. But yeah, we had to talk about that because I think that was the biggest golf story of when I'm getting.
Sure.
If I get a New York Times notification that has to do with golf, so then I know something crazy is happening. So all in all, Scottie finishing T8 like just speaks to the quality of player he is. I think we both think he could win Pinehurst by infinity strokes. Like I have a hard time believing that in our boots at Pinehurst we're going to be saying the things that we said about Scottie this week.
Hour and a half pod, but when we know Scottie's going to win.
Yeah, we might be betting without Scottie Market at Pine. We'll obviously keep everybody posted. JT, you were on him. Led the field tee to green.
Yeah.
But what do we always say? Can't trust him with the putter.
Can't trust him with the putter. And I knew that going in. But the amount of times Adam and I have a golfer that leads the field tee to green, if you guys know a market we could bet tee to green in, let us know because we will win every other week. Yeah, JT played really well. No beef with JT. He needed a 61 to win on Sunday, but he was in the top 10. Played good golf. I bet him at 55, 60 to 1. Zero beef. Probably should have bet someone else at that number, but he played well. He showed out. He embraced the Louisville culture. Couldn't get the plastic rolling.
Bobby Mack. I thank God Bobby Mack didn't win because on Tuesday, one of the first guys that we saw was Bobby Mack. I turned to you and I said, Jers, or we were like, what are his odds? We open it up on golf.vincerix.com. Of course, get over there, see the odds. 600 to 1. And I say, Jers, why would we just not bet this? Generational wealth opportunity. This is a no-brainer. He's flushing it out here.
Verbatim.
Yeah. Like, this is in the notes. Like, none of this shit we're saying is made up. Like, this is what we said. And he got off to a hot start, and my heart sank. I was like, this can't be happening. Like, please, no.
Yeah.
Dog. Like,
Ryder Cup.
Top 10 at a major. He's played good majors before. I think he's one of those guys now, though, that's going to be popular in these like random events. I don't think that's for us, right? You play him at super long odds in big events, and you fade him when he becomes popular in these easier events.
Yeah, and I was there on Thursday. Obviously, no one was following Bobby Mack's group, and I wasn't following him, but he kind of trickled across. He was on the lip of a bunker on hole number 5, side slope, had to hit like a crazy shot, put it to 10 feet, and I was alone. I was like, Bobby Mack's not that he's gonna win. I'm like, but 600 to 1. Why didn't we just pull the trigger? It's because he didn't look great with the putter, but he was 600 to 1. That was a miss on our end. We should have been there.
Lee Hodges. We talked about Lee Hodges, Big Dick and Tiger. Big Dick Tiger. That fist pump he gave on 9 yesterday was electricity. So shout out to Lee. Led the field in approach, I think. No, Finau did. Finau did, and Akshay was second, but he missed the cut. But Hodges was third on approach. And TPC Valhalla. There was I think 3M's a reasonable comp for what we saw out there. So didn't didn't Bryson and Collin both play good and Victor at
Yeah,
at
3M
3M? Yeah, so
and Matt Wolf.
and Midwest. So and in retrospect, 3M might have Wolf would have mixed if he was in the field.
Wolf would have mixed hard.
This is what we need to talk about. Alex Noren in the Swedes and all the players from the Nordic countries. We have invented a new take, and we believe that the Nordic nations, including we're going to give them Belgium as well. We know that's not part of the Nordic countries, but they're going to count here. We're going to draw a circle over the northern part of Europe. Secede from the Ryder Cup team and play standalone team in the Viking Cup because the Nordic guys, they fuck. We saw how they prep harder than they grind out there harder than anyone in the preparation, and then they show up. How many Swedes made the cut? Noren made the cut. Alexander Bjork makes the cut. That speaks volumes about the course. And our boy Jesper Svens makes the cut, and Seb Sodas makes the cut. 4 Swedes through the cut. Ludvig doesn't even make the cut. Like the best of the Swedes doesn't make the cut. 4 Swedes through the cut. Jers. Obviously, we got Hovland. Did Nikolai make the cut?
Rasmus,
Thor Olesen. Like the Nordic countries could stand alone and field a competitive team. I'd like to see it.
Yeah. Semi Välimäki, we have to talk to someone, make the Ryder Cup every 3 years, make the President's Cup every 3 years, make the Viking Cup every 3 years. The Viking Cup will alternate between Rinkvin and somewhere in America every single year, and we will have the Nordics versus the Americans. And I don't see the Americans doing too well in this Viking Cup because there are so many Nordic Vikings that win, and they have the hierarchy. Annika could be one of the vice captains. Bjorn, Noren in a few years once he gets there. Henrik. There is so many. Kali Samoya. There are so many guys that can play in this event, and it would just be beautiful.
And it's cold as shit in the Nordic countries most of the time of the year. These guys I want to know what we should do. If anybody out there is listening and wants to fund this, send me a DM. We will do a full documentary series on the Nordic golfers, how they became what they are, because you have to prep pretty fucking hard, I assume, if you're a Nordic golfer, because you don't get to play golf every single day like they do where the weather is nice. And it shows out there. They grind harder than anybody else. That's a fact. They were there from sun up to sundown, all different types of players, all different types of games. They're prepping around the greens. Jesper Sven, I'm all in on the Nordic countries in the Viking Cup. I think I'd make them minus 800 against. So if it was, we had the Viking Cup team, the Ryder Cup team minus the Viking Cup players, US team, and then international team, like power rankings right now. The power rankings right now, the Viking Cup players are number 1.
And it's like a bracket, or we just make it a bracket,
a pool play.
Okay. My God.
We will, if somebody sends wire us $1 million and we will set up the Viking Cup.
So timeout, but we can't end the Viking Cup yet. There's we have 6 or 7 Swedes.
There were 7 Swedes in the field, and then the Danes and
call it 7 Swedes. We have 3 Danes, 4 Danes. We have the Højgaards, sorry. We have
Thor
Olsen, and we have Norgard. So call that 4.
Yep.
Not saying these guys are all on the team, because not every Swede's going to be on the team. Then we have the Vic and Christopher Ventura if we need them, and we have.
And we're giving them Belgium too, so they get
Tommy Pietz
and Tommy Dietz.
Detry.
And
so that's 15 guys.
AADC, and there's that other Belgium guy who just won.
Oh my God, AADC.
Oh, and that other there's 2 Norgards. There's Norgard Moller and Norgard, the guy who just won, I think, on the Challenge Tour. So
okay,
Sami Välimäki, Tapio
Pokkanen, and Kali Samoya. Those are all the Finns.
Yeah, and I don't know what his rank is in the amateur rankings. I think he's top 5 amateur. There's a guy named Hansen who's coming up, and every now and then Stenson can still fuck. So
yeah,
it's the few
and the Swedes are legit. Ludvig, Norman, these guys can play.
Yeah, I mean Ludvig and Vic was easily the best combination on the Ryder Cup. So
this is a dangerous,
yeah.
dangerous.
So yeah, that's something we thought about this week. We'll be looking to set that up again. If you want to sponsor that, get your name behind it. Let us know.
And every time one of the Nordic guys did anything good, you just take Viking Cup.
Yeah,
like I would just die every time. Viking Cup,
Viking Cup,
easy.
so sick. Quickly, we'll get to Colonial in a second here. Dean, shout out to Dean, our boy Stinger. It was great I came out as Stinger GC supporter this week, and it was an absolute pleasure to see him play the way that he did. Theegs, we need to talk about Theegs quickly because we had that long. We saw him. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. It turned out he was doing that on purpose after you met Carl at the gym, and Carl said this is what he does. He uses a fake, not real putter so that he can get his real putter back and putt. Great, which he did. But I think probably one of the most profitable bets you could make is when Theegs does something great and all of a sudden he's truly right there. His next shot and next hole is almost always nonsense. We saw it on Friday on number 10, where all of a sudden he was spent like 20 minutes down the left. He doesn't quite have the dog yet, but the potential is there when the dog develops.
Right now, if you just want to summarize him in a sentence, a less polished young Jordan Spieth, which is infinity ceiling and just too many mistakes. Because even when Jordan was young, he was still making mistakes. They weren't costly in the tournament, and it just comes up too often for Spieth, but he's still only 26. He's rounding into the peak of his career these next 4 years, and he's elite. No beef with Spieth. It's still crazy what we saw on Wednesday or Tuesday whenever we saw it, and the fact that it came true was so funny.
Theegs winning was our biggest nightmare, right?
Yeah, it truthfully was our biggest nightmare because we both really wanted to bet him, and then when we saw him acting like a child on the golf course, and then coming to find out that this was all part of the plan, ultimately we had already made all of our bets, so we weren't going to just cash out and do all this shit. But it would have been a nightmare if Spieth won because we both loved him.
And this is why you have to go to practice rounds to start to calibrate what you see from players. That's why we like Collin this week, because Collin looked confident out there, and we had saw him at the Players not looking confident at all, and we were like, at the end of the day, for the very top players, it's less of what you're seeing of how they're hitting it and more, I think, the vibes to some degree, because like that's what we saw from Scottie. He wasn't terrible, but he just didn't look as confident as he normally does. And so Theegs, now we know that we don't care what he does in the practice rounds. Yeah. If it's a Theegs course, you play Theegs. We'll quickly just go through the guys that were on the top of the odds board, and then we'll get to Colonial here. Rory, I think it's like 35 to 40 majors now in a row that he has not won. I tweeted before after Zurich, I said he's going to win Zurich and Wells back to back. And then DraftKings stock's going to go through the moon on all the money they're going to make on Rory bets. There's a lot of bookmarks, so you can remove those bookmarks from those tweets. You can also remove them from my Scottie tweets. So you can take off the bookmarks on those. Does he ever win another major?
Yeah, I do. I think he wins another major. You can have your take. It's a strong take, and I don't hate you for it. I do think Rory wins another major. I'll leave it at that.
I'll stand by. Here's like, I'm not going to fully say that he doesn't win another major. I might have said that before, but he's not the best driver anymore among the top guys. His iron play is a disgrace. That it didn't matter.
His wedge play is a disgrace.
How did he hit a wedge into the water on 13? That's the most unserious.
And 15. Two back-to-back wedges in the water on Sunday, and he still finished T12.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, but it was an unsurprising for me Rory experience. Who else was top of the board? Rahm was getting a lot of takes out there about Rahm. A lot of takes. Yeah. We saw him. We said he looked average, nothing special. Yeah. We thought 20 to 1 was a fair price on John.
He was one of the only guys we didn't have like a strong take on.
Yeah, we were just like, he just is. So I wasn't surprised by how he played. But people were giving him a lot of heat. Like, what's your Rahm take?
That's pathetic. That's pathetic. Just another miscut. Like, what are we doing? And people were, I mean, I talk about the top 10s when we talk about the live, but people were talking about the top 10s like they were real stats going into a major. Like they're playing legitimate baby courses every single week, and they're coming in expecting to win, and not the live. The live guys have really not done well outside of Bryson DeChambeau. And Rahm you're still John Rahm. You're still a top 10 player in the world. Like, I think at least you should be. And he's coming out to doing these 2 major performances are so pathetic. And I bet John Rahm to beat Scottie Scheffler on Thursday, and I was gonna bet it Friday, but I couldn't find a
I
number.
forgot.
So thankfully,
I won our Scottie Rory bet. Barely.
I know we should have. Yeah,
I snuck through there at the end. But the other guy, Brooks played good the first 2 rounds. He got absolutely screwed with a mud ball on 10 on Friday, or else he would have been right up there, I think, going into the 3rd round. He played horrifically in the 3rd round. Him and Scottie both, I think, were making a statement about the course setup with their performance in the 3rd round. But round 1, he gained 4 total. Round 2, he gained 3 total. Round 4, he gained 3 total. He played fine. He just ejected in the 3rd round. Didn't have it. He was pissed. But I don't like Brooks at 21 under. Not where I was
gonna say that. If we knew this was going to be easy, we both didn't want that for Brooks, and you obviously didn't bet Brooks because you knew it was going to be easy. I'd never bet Brooks, so but I still wouldn't want him if I knew it was going to be -20.
Yeah, I like Brooks at Pinehurst.
The next 2,
we'll see. Yeah, I like him. And man, I think the next one it's the U.S. Open. It's Brooks, but if it plays more like a normal U.S. Open, I like that for Brooks. Ludvig, I took a chance on Ludvig. I liked what I saw on Wednesday. He just didn't have it on Thursday. He played better on Friday. Bad call by me. Bad call. Hand up on Lud. That was a mistake. Tommy, that was a bad call by us. Tommy backdoors. He tried to backdoor the top 20. He only could get to T.
Fell just short.
T26. That was also a bad call by us. Jocko, I need to just make a statement about Jocko and say that zero dog. Because we saw him flush. It was him and Xander were flushing. They looked the same out there.
Yeah.
If you took practice round play, you would have seen Xander and you would have seen Jocko and gone, yep, those are the dogs, or those are the guys who are going to play well. And then nothing. Absolutely zero performance from Niemann. Embarrassing. Awful.
Never got it going.
He's a no-go for me in the majors now going forward. There's one other guy. Oh, Dunlap. Hand up on Dunlap. I'm updating my odds on him breaking Jack's record from +300 to +305. I'm not. We said that it wasn't necessarily all about the PGA. We saw what we saw. I still believe in my heart what I believe about Dunlap. I will not back off my Dunlap takes. This is a long-term take. He lost
almost 4 around the green. You just can't miss greens. And he didn't have it going. We do have to talk about Dunlap because, like, I mentioned it because we gave a long bit, and that was the most thing we were wrong about. We definitely probably would have bet a lot on him just to make the cut, and he did not do that. But it's early. We still are, the confidence is oozing, and he's still – is he 21 yet? Maybe 21. We'll talk about Dunlap later in the year.
Yeah, we're Dunlap. To decide if this take is right, it's going to be 10 years. So if you're going to chirp us on Dunlap, you're going to have to wait 10 years before we can make an official statement. But yeah, he did not play well at all. He got off to a good start. And then it all kind of went wrong for him.
I was following him in Connors.
Yeah, so hand up, our bad there. But overall, a lovely boots on the ground PGA. Great tournament. Terrible course. I think from how the course was going to play, takes, we were absolutely spot on there. You talk about 100 players. Some are going to be good. Some are going to be bad. We'll be at Pinehurst. We'll be there. Same thing. Boots on the ground. We can't wait. We're excited for it. Thanks again for everybody who tuned into that. Moving on, though. Let's do 25 minutes or so on Colonial. Kind of a good field. Kind of surprised Scottie's playing. Kind of surprised a lot of these guys are playing, actually. But give me high-level Colonial, and I will add there's been a renovation of Colonial. Gil Hanse, the man, has gotten his hands on Colonial. I don't think it's going to be a drastic change to how Colonial plays based on what I was seeing. I do think this is a week where, like, hearing some things from the players who have played the course before will be useful. But historically, this is one of the most putter-heavy courses of the year. It's approach play and putting historically. I don't see a ton changing with that for the course or based on the redesign, but any of your thoughts kind of on the keys and the type of players you're looking for this week?
No, I don't think it's going to be. I looked at a few flyovers that were just like plot of the course and compared it to the years before. And it wasn't anything absurd that I think you have to, because Colonial still is going to play a certain type of way. It's going to minimize driving distance. It's going to minimize aggressive play unless you're Sam Burns or Jordan Spieth. And
or
then from
Jason
there,
Coke Rack City.
or Jason Kokrak, and then iron play, putting, maybe a little bit around the green. But this is it's one of the few golf courses that, the few short golf courses that's like that's still like relevant. Like you can, play as short as you want and be a great finish.
It's 7,200 yards, which is what it'll be now. I think it's been a little bit shorter than that in previous. But for the last two winning scores to be -8 and -9 just speaks
That's
to
golf.
A serious golf course. What I'll be interested to see, and again, like I feel like we'll have to follow it a little bit closely in the lead up here, is distance was becoming more important. I think guys were realizing that you could kind of bomb and gouge to some degree around here. Not every hole, but enough where like that you could get your birdies that way and then figure out what to do on the rest of the holes. And we had seen that with, obviously, Burns is a big hitter, Kokrak's a big hitter. But at the end of the day, what they also are great putters. And when I've been working, the write-up will be up on the site here shortly, but the stat that I just thought was interesting when looking at the last four winners here is within their 6 starts prior to winning at Colonial, this was their best approach effort and their best putting effort. Grillo had gained 8.8 on approach in an event and 4 putting. Burns 7.2 on approach and 6 putting. Kokrak 6 on approach and 4.5 putting. Berger 8 on approach, 8 putting. So like guys within their last 6 starts who not necessarily in the same event, but in that stretch, it had a good putting performance, it had a good approach performance, and just were baseline solid in those areas. Find those guys, target them. One thing before we get to the board, obviously Scottie's playing, but these secondary events are the ones where we've seen the long shots. I feel like we've got a big split now. We talked about this a couple pods ago where the big events are going to the sub 20-1 guys now almost every time. And these random events are where it's just slinging the board has been the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the board is very open this week. Shorter course and the major hangover. The top of the board could come out a little slow for sure. So then from there, it's bombs away. You could definitely get a guy who's hot with the putter. And hopefully we can point you on a few of those guys here shortly.
Scottie, I'm surprised he's playing. I get it. He's got to play a Texas event. He's obviously played good here before. Do we need to bet the without Scottie market?
Plus 275 is crazy. Plus 275 is absurd, but who knows? Apparently, he's supposed to have some court thing on Tuesday, but that could just get dropped. I'm very interested to hear from Scottie. He definitely could. Hot take. He could definitely win. This is a golf course that he's almost won at. I think he wants to win here really bad, truthfully, because
he's been second tee jacket season. Well, he's different outfits. He's got the all orange outfit now. Like adding the jacket to that string of photos of what he's worn this year would be great. He's absolutely decimated this course tee to green the last 2 years, like truly dominant, but he hasn't made putts. And I still think this is a course where you have to make putts. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, Scottie would have a hard time gaining more tee to green here than he has in the last 2 years. Like, he's literally been almost perfect tee to green here. So he's still going to have to make putts. He's plus 275. I'm not going to say he can't win, obviously, but I still think the doors, it's like a Houston situation here where the doors,
someone can catch fire.
Somebody can catch fire and beat him. He's obviously going to be tough to beat. I'll probably just still sling a normal card and hope that Scottie doesn't win. Collin, I can't after the putting.
Yeah. And this man, he was in contention over the weekend. I know he's a guy that says, I'm focused on winning every single week I tee up, which is great. But like as recently as the last week, before last week and the last month, the iron play has still not been great. I know it's gotten better and it was good last week, but still, like I want someone dialed. Like what did he gain last week fully?
He gained a little under 4.
Yeah, that's like Pete Collin gains like 5, 6, 5, 8. Like he'll have a run like that for a month, and we're not seeing that right now.
The next guy, so I've got the Bet365 odds up on Golf Tab and Sergs right now. The model's up there. The model last week also, I didn't pick up that, but Xander was 3, Bryson 4. Delicious effort from the model. We'd love to see that. The next guy who's not high in the model is Spieth. I guess the only guys below 30 are Spieth and Homa. Do you like either of those guys? Or if you
I
had to
like
pick one?
Spieth to get out to a hot start. Like he's just this is one of the courses that's like course history is huge at. Like
Mhm.
guys play well here consistently, and I think it has to do a lot with sight lines. Maybe with this new renovation that changes, but like Jordan, Sam Burns, Kokrak, they're ripping drivers on spots that other guys aren't ripping drivers. Which is obviously if you're hitting it in a good spot, it's going to be rewarded. And what Jordan's doing with the driving right now is on another, like it's truthfully on another planet. He is driving the ball so well, and he has Adam or me hitting his iron shots, and from there it's like whatever. Um, Great driving, and then hopefully he can get hot with a putter for a round. So like Jordan's like my like early like first round leader guy. Like he gets out to one of those crazy starts like he does in Texas a lot. So, but I don't think he's going to win this week now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. Like I
Totally.
don't understand what's going on. He's a Corn Ferry player everywhere except off the tee for like the last
Yeah.
3 months. Like he really is. Like I don't
Only
know
him.
how else, I don't
Only
know
him.
how else to describe it. That's if you cover up the off the tee and you just look at everything left of that, it's that player is on the Corn Ferry tour and probably missing cuts on the Corn Ferry.
Yeah.
But he's always hit his irons good here. He's always been good around the greens. He's putted pretty good here. I agree though. I don't he's 24 in the model, and I think that's fair. Like he's not the third most likely player to win this tournament by any stretch of the imaginations. I don't love Max either. I'm fine with Max. I think 22-ish on Max is fine in this field. But I'd rather kind of I think it's for at least for me a skip over the top 4 and put together a card of more guys.
Yeah, when I wrote up the golfer previews for you earlier in the week, I finished off my Max blurb with 22-1 question mark. So that was my number with Max that I'll definitely consider. He's played well on like positional golf courses in his career. I love the fact that he wasn't really in the mix. I also prefer him with more long irons than I do short irons, but he's a guy who can get out with the putter for sure. He's a top 10 here in his career. I definitely don't hate Max this week.
The guys, again, these are bet 365 in the 30s. Who do you like the most between Finau, Siwoo, and Minwoo? It's not a links course.
Sadly, Siwoo, but the odds are again absurd. I'm willing to forget about last week. I still don't think Tony fucking cares, like truthfully. And Minwoo, if you don't have to hit irons, Minwoo is probably the best player in the golf in the world. So therefore, Siwoo, like he missed the cut by infinity last week, but he's putting together a generational tee to green season. I'm gonna go Siwoo there.
I'll go Tony. He's played really good here before. He's got a second and a T4. He's striping still with the irons, just striping. He had a couple. He got off to a really hot start putting, and then the putter went absolutely. He missed one of the shortest putts I've ever seen from somebody in contention on Friday. Played good in Texas at the. We know he plays good at Houston. Like, I think Tony is a top 10 this week. I really do, but I don't know if I can. When I said you need spike putting, I literally can't bet Tony. That'd be. But none of these guys, like Siwoo's not good at putting. Minwoo's, this isn't a links course, and he's not a serious golfer. I think, again, I'm probably good in the 30s range. And now we get up to the 40s. And let me just drop some. There's 6 guys here in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your favorite. Sungjae, Harmon, Hoagie, Sepp, Harris, Adam Scott.
The answer is Harmon, but I think he's going to be one of the guys this week, which is crazy because he hasn't had a great season, but he's now gained strokes on approach in 2 straight starts, which is solid. And this is a golf course that screams Brian Harmon. Early on in the week, it's Monday. I've seen his name thrown out a little bit, but it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to stick with my guns though. I think Brian Harmon is the play from those 6 guys.
The guy who he's high in the model. He's 4th. It makes sense as Hoagie, but we have a Hoagie situation where his course history is bad. Like we see these Hoagie courses all the time where it's like, this makes sense for Hoagie. And then you go look at his course history. He's like never finished better than like 40th. So at 45,
because there's too much to deal with. This is a home game for him. He's got family and friends around Dallas. He went to TCU. Like it makes sense. And I never want Hoagie in that situation. I said the same thing for him at Byron. So we don't want Hoagie in Dallas. We want Hoagie when he's at Pebble, when he's just with his team.
We need him away from casinos and his family is when we've got Hoagie penciled in. So Yeah, I think there's some interesting names in this range. I think Sungjae is kind of back to where at this type of course, Sungjae is just going to finish like T16 at worst. But
We have to talk about Sungjae for a second because Sungjae hit the ball fine last week. I think from last time I checked the stats, he
oh my
lost
god,
so much putting,
we saw him
and
practice.
that's what I'm saying. I texted Sungjae's caddy. I said, "What time are you guys going to golf?" And he said 12 o'clock, front nine. So we walked by probably like 12:30, 12:45. Sungjae is still banging 5-footers on the greens. We know Sungjae's not the best on bent grass. And then Thursday morning, I'm at the golf course watching the golf. I go back past the putting green. Sungjae missed 3 straight 5-footers. So clearly he is not feeling it on the putting surfaces, and he was just doing everything in his power to try to putt well. Turns out he putt horrifically in the tournament. And
Yeah.
did he hit the ball well?
He gained in every tee to green. Off the tee, it was really good. The others were okay. But yeah, he lost in 2 rounds of putting. He lost 5 strokes.
I know we had bent grass here, but I don't think he could putt worse. And he's hitting the ball okay. And this is not like I like this spot better this week than last week for sure.
But yeah, no, I had not seen that, and that is hilarious because we literally he didn't practice on the course. He must have
He
known
couldn't putt.
he must have known he didn't like these greens. Yeah, we'll give these guys a look for sure. Harris played good again. Harris could play good here.
Yeah.
Adam Scott at 45. I can't. I have to. I just can't do it anymore.
You love Adam Scott.
I love him. The 50s. T Moore, J Rose, Denny, Bez. Who's your play there?
Bez. I'll go Bez. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I came around on Timor. Like I really like Timor, but like this is a course that he has not. This is one of the few courses he hasn't played well.
Bad course fit. Bad course fit for. So what I will say about both Bez and T Moore is that I like the Valspar comp here. You look at some guys who have won this tournament or even
I'm
played
gonna bet
well.
Schenk, by the way.
Schenk on the card. A lot of them, obviously Burns, but like guys who finish high at Valspar come here and play well. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between these courses. The only difference is the grasses, but you get a guy who's played good at Valspar and he's actually better on bent. Like you're gonna have to absolutely love that this week. Bez played good there. Obviously Malnati played good there. Mac Hughes, Chandy Fills, but want to know who plays good at Valspy? Taylor Moore.
T Moore. Yeah, and he doesn't have great course history, and it's due to the iron play that was not good. And the iron plays recently has not been great either. So combining those two things, I think I'm going to be out on Timor. I'll stick with Bez.
All right, now I'm going to sling some guys who are there. All these guys, I'll give you their odds, but they're high in the model. Number 3 in the model, a man who is passing up on playing his home tournament. Soudal. We talked to Tommy Dietz at Players, and we said, Tommy, are you playing Rinkvin? Are you going to be playing at Soudal? He said maybe. He said, I'm thinking about it. He said, I don't know. He's not, Jers. He's playing at Colonial. He's 3rd in the model. Want to know who can make putts? Tommy Dietz. Want to know who has confidence right now? Tommy Dietz. Want to know the vibes of guys who are losers and are winning right now? That vibes for Tommy Dietz. He's your guy. He's been your guy forever. Can he do it this week? It's 60-1.
Yeah, they interviewed Tommy Dietz pre-Valhalla, and he said he's playing some of the best golf of his career right now and feels really confident. But I'm going to go out on a limb. Patrick Rogers at Harbortown. I do not think Thomas Detry can gain enough strokes on approach to finish inside the top 10 here.
I actually agree. That's fair. He finished T21 here, losing both approach and off the tee. Like he doesn't need much on approach to finish top 10. So I'm not going to join you on that take, but the fundamentals that are educating your announcement there, I will agree with those, but I think Tommy can still sneak out of top 10 purely behind the flat stick because the crazy thing is he rolls it, but he also misses like a 3-footer he missed one on Saturday. Like,
and that's all we see too, because we don't see him making the 10-footer. Yeah, you see that.
He does. He putts better from 10 feet than he does from like 2 feet. He's good for a short miss every tournament. Hoagie's high on the model. Max Aaron Rye. This is a Rye course. Has he played good here?
Yeah, he gained over 7 strokes on approach last season in this event.
He just still can't putt, but the floor is high for Rye, in my opinion. Matt McNeely, he's 7th in the model. He's 66-1. You like your boy Mav this week?
Yeah, there's one course in the world that Matt McNeely's gained on approach every single time, and it's Colonial. in the minimum 3 starts. He's played here 6 times, gained on approach
He's
every
driving
single
it
time,
nice.
and he's gained on approach in his last 3 starts. So he's sneaky playing good golf, and this is a course history. We talked about course history sightlines. He must like it here, and he played well at Pebble, positional golf course, Colonial, positional golf course, Jordan Spieth, Pebble, Colonial, Maverick McNeely.
Yeah, I agree. Hubbard, he's 8th in the model. He is a man who we should have been on last week in some
par
way.
threes.
Last week there was 7 par 3s. That's Hubbard's game. What were his stats last week? It was a lot with the putter. He actually drove it okay. He was T9 here last year. He gained 8 on approach. He's never gained off the tee here. But Hubs for a hole in one. I mean, that's 3 to 1, 4 to 1.
That's the only way you could back Hubs, just hole in one markets only. He's a guy like that. He pops up and then he's immediately like popular at because he's always that like 80 to 1. I'm not really a Hubbard truther, and I don't think you should bet him at 80 to 1, truthfully.
Akshay. This is an Akshay course if I've ever seen one. By far.
Yeah.
He missed the cut. It was because of the putter, but he gained 4 on approach in 2 rounds. Didn't drive it good. That he'll be fine to drive it here. He gained tee to green here last year, putted terribly.
I think we start the card 50 to 1. What is his odds?
They'll probably be better numbers. He's 60 on Bet365 right now.
Akshay? What? Yeah.
I also want to make note that as you shouted out Akshay, the time on the recording was 1 hour, 11 minutes and 11 seconds. 11 plus another 11. So
Akshay.
The other guy we want to talk about, a guy that I cashed on in Corrales. Oh, by the way, this is semi-related. So yesterday I watched the golf. My girlfriend and I were going to go get some Italian food in Hell's Kitchen. I turned the corner. There's a bar called Valhalla right there.
Did you know that?
I probably did, but like because it's somewhat close to where I live. But I didn't even think about it at all. I was like, if you're trying to score, go to that bar because easy scoring conditions at Valhalla. So I saw that, and then as I was turning the corner, I was going to tweet that yesterday, but then I was like, people aren't going to understand this tweet, and I don't want to have to explain it. I see a guy wearing a Corrales shirt within 5 minutes.
Absurd. Was your mind blown?
Yeah, I was like, what's going on there? This is insane. But that leads us to talking about Billy Ho, because want to know who fucks in Texas? Billy Ho. Want to know who's fucking right now? Billy Ho. Top 10 at the PGA. He gained infinity putting. He's playing good. His 25 round trend is almost top 10 in the world right now, and he's 60 to 1. Billy.
Yeah, winner. This guy, someone who has dog, someone who knows how to win. Billy Horschel, Texas.
Yeah, easy.
Why would you overthink it?
I don't think we should. I don't think we should overthink it at all. Here's some other like name guys who just have the name. They could mix. Daniel Berger. What do we do with Berger? Is he good again?
He's playing better golf for sure. I still don't think he's there yet to win a golf tournament. I still think he'll play well, like T21, maybe T15. He won here before. Yeah, but this golf course makes sense for Berger for sure.
I'm just gonna say a player and a number, and you just give me your initial like I like it or I don't like it. Chris Kirk, 55 to 1.
I was gonna say, can we do Chris Kirk? Yes, I love it. He missed 1 cut here in 13 trips, and it's like some golf courses Chris Kirk just plays well on, and this is one of them. And he's hitting the ball really well outside of Valhalla, but he was never gonna ever hit the ball well at Valhalla.
No,
I love Chris Kirk.
Yeah, I mean 55 to 1, a guy who's won twice in the last year and a half. But of course, he's played great his whole career. He's won here. The putter's cold, but if he just comes here and gets on these greens that he likes, I like Chris. Let's see who I was going to say. Keegan, 60.
He's figuring it out. He was so good tee to green last week, I believe, and we liked him going into the week, but we didn't like what we saw on the course. Yeah, I like other guys better.
Are these guys are all about 66 to 1? Glove, Posty, Davey T, and the Eckgoat.
Oh, Eckgoat.
That we didn't talk about Eckgoat. He didn't play good in the final round, which is fine. I was on him 350 to 1. Played well. I like zero beef with what Eckgoat brought to the table. The reason I bet him is because we were standing there on Tuesday, and we from a
11.
distance we saw somebody hit on 11T, and at contact I turned to you and went, "That's the most beautiful swing I've ever seen." We couldn't tell who it was from so far away. The ball landed like 3 feet from the pin. Who do we see? It's the Eckgoat, like flusher. He didn't even hit his irons good. It was all off the tee and putting. But Eckgoat, he was T16 here last year.
Yeah, and he usually hits his irons really well, and especially short irons. That's going to get rewarded here.
66 to 1. Like, what? Eckgoat in the same price range as like Davey T. Like, give me Eckgoat.
No, I'm with you on those. Even Davey T though, like I'd rather have an Eckgoat or a Davey T than a 45-year-old guy at 66 to 1 who like is past his prime. Like I want to get ahead of these these young bucks who, like, why would people if we bet Eckgoat at 66 to 1, they're like, oh, that's a horrible number. He's only won once, but he's still young. What if he wins twice? Then what do we say?
Yeah.
Let's get ahead of it, like we said.
I like that. You said you're on Schenk, or you like Schenk?
I do like Schenk. Schenk has lost on approach in now 2 straight weeks, which are Valhalla and Quail Hollow. Never going to gain strokes on approach there. You get him on a course that short irons, positional, fucked at Valspar, T2 here last year, or runner-up here last year, lost in the playoff. These are Schenk courses, and before those 2 weeks where he lost on approach at massive golf courses, he was starting to fuck again. So get Schenk on a course that suits his eye, suits his game. I'm down. And he's a very nice guy. I was wearing my Malbin shirt. He's like, nice shirt, bro, on Thursday morning. It's a nice guy.
We love that. Random Euros of the week. Who do we got? Who do we got for random Euros of the week? I'm sorted by putting right now. Obviously, Bobby Mack. We can't go back to Bobby Mack, I don't think, this week. We need to let him cool down a little bit. Martin Laird's the next best putter. Ben Silverman's down here. Matty Schmid, Ryan Fox. We're gonna include the New Zealanders in the random Euro of the week this week. Jorge Camps. What about Campillo? Perez.
What about? I like Nikolai. First time he's hit his irons well since Valero. Maybe he's a Texas guy.
Let's see. Yeah, hold on. Let me get. I mean, Nikolai is. Where did he go? I just saw him. He's 80 to 1.
That's stupid not to bet. Very, very stupid not to bet.
Yeah, I mean,
and
he's gonna.
Did he play well?
Yeah, he didn't putt. He hasn't been putting well, but Nikolai can putt well, and you don't really know when he's going to do it.
He gained 4 on approach last week. That was his best approach in like a long time.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Right, am I right?
Yeah, it was his best approach since the Dubai Desert Classic, which was right before he almost won at Torrey.
We're betting Nikolai.
I also like Nikolai in these scoring conditions. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, Nikolai random Euro of the week. I like that a lot. 80 to 1. I've said before the year started that Fox was going to win Colonial. There was a second there where it looked like he wasn't going to be in the field, which would have. I wouldn't have watched the tournament. I think they should have canceled the tournament if Fox wasn't in, but he is in. He's 80 to 1. Let me look at his stats really quick because I need to be able to give a take of whether I am still in on Fox here. Maybe. He's putting better. He was T21 here last year. It's purely if he gets the irons going, but it's Fox. He could all of a sudden just get it going with the irons. You never know. And he likes the style of courses. And that's why before the year I locked in. I also locked him in at Valspar. That didn't go well. So maybe I need to back off the Fox takes, but I just have to say that out loud. Hodges 80 to 1. Lee coming off that absolute fire performance.
Yeah, he's playing good golf. He's probably gonna be a chart guy this week. I can see that. What are Sam Ryder's odds?
You saw him at
350. 350 to 1.
200 on Bet365. I'm sure we can get better once all the odds are up here.
I love him first round leader. He's a first round leader guy, and he's gained on approach in 2 straight.
We saw him practicing his drops too, where he was going to drop based on the drain short left of 1. Then it turned out that he wasn't even in the tournament. But I like a guy who's prepping that hard, who's not even in the tournament.
Yeah, and we can't forget that he won the Players' Championship. He made 27 birdies at the Players, set the record.
And a guy who's won at Torrey and the Players at 200 to 1 at Colonial.
No brainer. So I talked to him in the airport. He said, well, at first I was very shocked to see that he was here because I thought he was playing a golf tournament right now. And he said that he loves where his game is at right now. Then I was like, all right, like he's not doing anything great. I looked at his stats though. The approach is coming back to life. 2 straight events, and that is his driving force. Approach, short irons, wedges. That's what Colonial is. Not great course history, but first round leader card only. I think I'm down for Samurais.
Of these long shots, I'm gonna just quickly fire off 3 balls at you, and you just give me who you like. At 100-1. This is a 4. This will be 4 actually. Cam Davis, Eric Cole, defending champ Emiliano Grillo, and Brendan Todd. Who finishes highest of those 4?
Brendan Todd.
Sam Stevens, Rio, Luke List.
Rio.
Doug Gim.
Rio minus 800.
Oh yeah, I mean Rio top 20. Pencil him in. What do we feel about Goddard this week? He's vibing. He didn't play well last week.
No, he didn't play well. He's figured something out with the irons, man. Which his driver will totally be a non-factor here, which is like not good. But he's figured something out with the irons. I'm not sure they were great last week, and he can putt.
I like Goddard. There's some Myrtle Beach vibes, kind of.
Dallas, everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that. Anyone way down the board here catching your eye early? Any names that Troy Merritt? There's a guy that I think we should have our eyes on. Always have our eyes on Troy. I'm trying to see who like the model likes as a long shot. Oh, your boy Mac Meissner.
Yeah.
Mac?
Oh, he finished T10 or T20 in Valero. He lives in Dallas too.
First round leader, dude. He gained 5.2 on approach at Myrtle Beach. He has
he can like gain in all categories. Like he's good. He's a good golfer.
I like Mac
down
at what is he? 200-1. I bet there's better prices out there than that. I'm just scrolling through these names. Kuchar's in the field. Always keep your eyes on Kuch to randomly pop up for a top 10. But anyone way down here besides Sammy Rides that might be getting a look?
I think that's it early on a Monday.
Chandler Phillips 300-1. Generational wealth opportunity.
Number.
Generational.
Valspar comp. He went to Texas A&M.
Chandy 300-1 generational wealth opportunity. All right. So now that we've I think this is an interesting week to handicap. I haven't had a lot of time to look at the field yet, so I don't have any like very strong plays. Obviously, they'll be up on the site later this week. But I think it feels like to me that everybody's going to bet Max in the 20s. Like you just look at this board, and that's what everybody's going to do. But I don't think Max is going to win. So, and then it's Finau, Siwoo, Minwoo. I don't like any of them. I'm probably going to put a card together this week, and
let's spray it.
And then I think Scottie will win by like 5 shots.
Yeah, it's a spray the board week for sure, 100%. Cards up Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, maybe Tuesday night, Wednesday, whenever we're able to dial it in. Any final thoughts? PGA, Colonial, Vic Laps. Any Vic Laps that we missed?
No, just appreciate the support for Boots on Ground. Definitely seen from both of us and well warranted because we're gonna give our best effort to do this every major. And thank you for helping us achieve our dreams and help you guys. So we wanna do this. So let's do it.
Yeah. Again, thanks everybody. Throw a like on and subscribe. If you make it to the end of the podcast, you qualify into the Ball Knowers Club. We should start a club called Ball Knowers, and that's what the Discord is. We've got a lot of Ball Knowers in the Discord. The Discord's great. There's a guy in the Discord right now. Hold on, I gotta say this because this is fucking insane.
Where are we going with this?
There's a guy in the Discord who has a 4 major parlay of Scottie Masters, Xander PGA. So he's 2 for 2. His next leg is Rory at the US Open. And then the final leg is Minwoo links course at the Open. It's $24 to win 571,000. And it continues on.
I'm rooting for him.
Even if it blows my takes that Rory never wins another major, if our boy in the Discord can go into the final major, Minwoo on a links course, and it would be the culmination of all of our takes coming together at one time. So I had to give that shout out. But we'll dive in here. We'll get the rest of the odds up on Golf Dive and Sarix. The model's up there as always. Follow us on Twitter, @Sarix_golf. Follow Matt on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and appreciate the support and good luck this week in Dallas.
Peace.